witness with what the scripture is saying, you might be an Israelite. But if your spirit doesn't take on to what the scriptures say, then we know for sure that you're a heathen. That you're a heathen. Because you know that there are two types of Gentiles in the Bible. Get me, you know the 1 Corinthians. But first we have to prove. Alright. I'm not playing games. So what have you discovered, King? What have you discovered? As a book. But the Bible, you can't, yeah? Yeah. So your father was part of the slave trade. Firstly, but does he come from like a proper white man side, like, or is he? Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, we go off. So what, was he from Britain? Was he from the Netherlands? So, but that means if your forefathers go back to being slave masters, that means you're not an Israelite. If your forefathers, of your father's seed, go back to the slave masters, then you wouldn't be an Israelite. You would be a heathen. Because we read in Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18, they declared their pedigrees by the house of your fathers. Unless you're telling us something else. Yeah, and that's why I asked you, is he like a proper white man, like, alright. So was he like albino looking? But his grandfather, was he a so-called white man? But that's why we said, if you're... Where he's from. Yes, because when you do, then you either get the realization that yes, you are an Israelite, or no, you're not an Israelite and you're a heathen. Because for you to be a heathen, you can't be of the 12 tribes of Israel. But for you to be an Israelite, you have to be off of one of the 12 tribes. Get me that in Genesis chapter 49 and verse 1. What are the 12 tribes? Who are the 12 tribes? I'm going to show you.
Genesis 49 verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall before you in the last days.
This is Jacob telling his sons, hold it, gather yourselves together, because this is what's going to happen in your latter times. So it wasn't just one son Jacob had, he had 12 sons.
Verse 2. Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power.
So that's one, that's Reuben. That's Jacob's firstborn, which is the dignity of his strength.
Verse 3. Reuben are my firstborn. Sorry, we dropped the first four already. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brethren, instruments of purity.
That's another two sons, Simeon and Levi. So now we have three.
Verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren, instruments of cruelty, are in their habitations. O my soul, not thou into thy secret. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise, thy hand shall be in the net of thine enemies. Verse 13. Zebulun shall dwell at the heaven of the sea. Issachar is a strong ass, crouching down between two burdens. Verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, what he shall overcome at the loss.
That's 8.
Asher, his bread shall be fat.
That's 9. Asher.
Naphtali is a hind let loose.
That's 10. Naphtali.
Joseph is as fruitful bough, even as
And that's 11. Joseph. And there should be one more.
Verse 27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey.
See? So that's the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. The 12 tribes that were scattered all across the four corners of the earth. So we have an idea, but we can't pinpoint exactly, because get me James chapter 1 and verse 1. We know that because when we were in Roman persecution, we had to flee to the mountains, we had to flee to the west coast of Africa, we had to flee to those sites such as Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, so on and so forth, Ivory Coast. We had to go to those places because we were running away from Roman persecution. So that's when we started to disperse about. We weren't in the land of Israel anymore. We were dispersed. So who's got James 1 and 1? We know that some of our people, such as Benjamin, there would be the Jamaicans, there would be the Haitians. We know that Dan, the other 10 tribes, Naphtali, Dan, Reuben, Zebulun, so on and so forth, there would be the northern kingdom, which are in the Colombia, your Bolivia, your South America, in Brazil, in those places there. But we know that Judah, Benjamin and Levi, they are the southern kingdom, and they reside in places like Nigeria, all over. So it's not just one place. It's all over. But like predominantly, that's some of where our people live. They're not just the Jamaicans, but it's predominantly where they've gone. Because read James 1 and 1.
James 1 verse 1. James the servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
So the 12 tribes are scattered abroad. I know I told you that before, but I had to get the source in order to reiterate to you that these 12 tribes were scattered abroad. They weren't just in one place, so that people could just pinpoint them and say, oh yeah, this is Judah, oh this is Naphtali, oh this is Zebulun. Now the Lord did it in a strategic way where He's dispersed us about, so that one, because we disobeyed Him, and two, so that the heathen could come at us and know where we are and know where all of us are and take us out at one time.
So, my brother, for us to pinpoint the tribes, there's a lot of camps that tell you that once you're from Jamaica, you're Benjamin. But remember the Arawak Indians, they were there before. See? No, I'm just explaining to you. Yeah. So what I'm explaining to you is that we cannot pinpoint and say, because you are from Jamaica, you are Benjamin. Because the house of Israel was there on that land before we got there. So the house of Israel would have fall under Ephraim. 10 tribes, well actually 9 tribes that went off. And you have the house of Judah, which consists of Judah, Benjamin and Levi, which would have been so-called blacks. See? The house of Ephraim would have been so-called Hispanic and Latinos. You see what I'm saying? You understand, right? Okay, man. So for us to pinpoint and say, if you are from America, then you're Judah. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be 100%. Even in Haiti, they say once you're from Haiti, then you're from Levi. Well, a lot of Jamaicans went over to help Haiti to free them from persecution, from slavery. So those so-called Jamaicans that went over there, they would now consist as being a Levi, from the tribe of Levi. You see what I'm saying? So it would be confusion for us to come now and say, oh, once you're from Haiti, then you're from the tribe of Levi. You see, our people have been mixed up all over. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we cannot. The culture don't change, but the culture don't change, but to pinpoint your lineage, like if you go to the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 1, you know, Paul could tell you his lineage. See, because at that time he knew his lineage. You understand? And you have many a times throughout the scriptures where Israelites that went off, they had to search their lineage to find out what tribe they were from. We have no way of searching that lineage today. But to just say, oh, once you're from Jamaica, you are Benjamin. You see, that's not factual. You understand what I'm saying? Go on, King.
Yeah, so just like what my brother was saying, Paul was able to pinpoint his lineage, but because now what they've done is that they tricked and bamboozled us into giving us all kinds of land masses and putting a label on it saying, oh, you are now a Nigerian, or now you are a Ghanaian, or now you are a Guyanan. Now we're confused into thinking about when you say Benjamin, or automatically Jamaican. When I say Zebulun, or automatically, yeah, exactly, because they've done it to divide our people, to stop us from knowing the truth. And the truth will set us free. But pardon? The Himanites. Oh, the Hamites. No, the Hamites. Get me Genesis chapter 10 and start from verse 1. No, the descendants of Ham and Shem are two different people. The descendants of Ham, Ham and Shem and Japheth's forefather was Noah, not Adam, first of all. Huh? Us and the Hamitic people aren't the same, because we come from the nation, the bloodline of Shem. They come from the bloodline of Ham. That's why the Lord says, get me Exodus chapter 11 and verse 7.
Genesis 10 verse 6. Genesis 10 verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan.
So that's of the sons of Ham. The Hamites are different from the Shemites. Now if you jump down to verse read Exodus chapter 11 and verse 7.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that he may know how that the Lord do put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So the Lord puts a difference between the Egyptians, which are the Hamites, and the Israelites, which are the Shemites. We come off of the Shemitic lineage. The Hamites are dark-skinned people, but they are the native Africans, Nilotic Africans that used to rule Egypt. Those, the Cushites, Put, Canaan. Those are the Hamites. But the Israelites, they're different. We're different from the Hamites. The Hamites actually sold us into slavery. When they say black people sold black people into slavery, it wasn't that. It was the Hamites that sold the Shemites, the Israelites, into slavery, because they didn't want us in their land. And the only people that we could blend in with that had dark features like we did were the Hamites.
This is the book of Ezra 2 and verse 60. The children of Deliah, the children of Tobiah, the children of Nekoda, 652, and the children of the priest, the children of Abiah, the children of Koz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and was called after their name He sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore were they as polluted, put from the priesthood. And the Tertiary said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and with Thummim. So basically, you see here, you have some of the Levites. They take heathen wives and they mix themselves with them. So now they're searching for the records to find the lineage, to find which tribe of Israel them actually come from. But they couldn't find it. So they were treated as polluted. Yeah, they were Israelite, but they couldn't partake in the priestly things. They couldn't eat the holy showbread. They couldn't partake in the holy things that the priests did. You understand? Because it wasn't sure if they are, what tribe are they from, or if they are Israel at all. You see what I'm saying?
And that might be you, because you said you don't know about your father's father. Yeah, but like we said, going right back to the beginning, we go to the seed of the father. The law goes to the seed of the father.
But so the main thing here, let's get it. For Romans, page 16. This is the main thing. Understand? For Romans chapter 8 and verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. So the Spirit that the Most High put inside of you, the Spirit that you have right now to come and listen to the Word of God. See, that's the Spirit that the Lord is dealing with. That's the Spirit that the Israelite man have. That's the Spirit that the remnant have that the Lord is looking for. See, because it takes a humble spirit to come up and spend time and listen to this Word. That's what I'm saying. I'm not arguing, not fussing, just trying to find out what's going on within the scriptures. So it takes a righteous spirit to do that. See? But with that, with all of that, we have to put everything into the search of the law, statutes, and commandments. And we search the law and we apply them to our life. You understand?
Acts 17 verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so.
So these were the disciples reading the scriptures and searching them, and they were of a ready mind searching the scriptures daily to see if those things were true. So, brother, your spirit is a good spirit because you're listening and we're going through the scriptures and we're searching through the scriptures and we're piecing two and two together. So you might be an Israelite, but if you are, there's certain things that you have to do, because do you know what today is? Yeah, you were here when we taught the brother, innit? Yeah. True. Do you pork? Do you pork? Yeah.
I used to, but I don't eat it anymore. I didn't
Do you eat any fishes without fins and
I
scales?
used to eat all them shit because at that time it was survival time.
Alright, I hear it.
You understand me?
Yeah.
And it was made for specific people. It was just, it isn't the Bible.
Yes.
It was made for specific people.
Yes.
At the time when things are wrong and you are hungry, that's what you got to do.
No, because we
At
have
the end of the day,
we have
you cleanse
cockroaches.
yourself. You can cleanse yourself. You can't.
No, you can't, because
So you say when you eat that means because I've eaten it before, that means I'm hungry.
no, but alright, because before you were ignorant to it. So you didn't know that's what you shouldn't be eating. But now you've got the knowledge. If you go and pick the pork up again,
Yeah, I understand.
that's when you're in sin.
There's another stage of that, what you're saying there, because
I know what you're saying for survival.
It's like a roaring lion skinning you will devour.
Yeah?
So if you're not strong enough, there's always packets coming that way.
Ah.
Right? So basically, this is what I'm saying. You have to be strong. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can be strong, but you can be with someone.
Well,
But the thing is, you can be strong. The Lord requires you to be strong. See?
Yeah.
The Lord
You have to
always.
keep the faith. But
Huh?
there's a lot of deceiving right now in this world. There's a lot of things that these people that distract us. Even the phones, the social media.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, but we have to be
It has a
strong.
lot of distraction. And
We-
from the time it happens to your mind,
Hmm?
it's already getting you off track.
That's-
That's why they tell you have to be focused. Make sure every step you make is positive and direct.
That's why we have to be strong in the Lord, and we have to persevere in this word. You understand? We cannot see things going on that we know is wrong, and we're gonna say, "Oh, you know what? I want to partake." You see? That's gonna show weakness.
Like you said, the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So this
Matthew
food, this
20,
sometimes you know you wake up in
26
the
to
morning
41.
and your mindset is more of the flesh. And that means you see. But
Yeah.
when you wake up and you have the spiritual form,
Yeah.
you're more stronger.
Yeah.
And that's why I said to you, sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you have to be careful what you want. The devil is out there.
Yes. But
Waiting to just get that opportunity.
yeah.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 24 and verse 10. If thou faint in the day of adversity, then thy strength is small.
So if we give up in the day when things aren't going our way in adversity, that means our faith was very little, because the Lord is going to give us trials to see if we are worthy of Him, to see if we are worthy of His wisdom. Because when we get wisdom, we have to first be proved before we get wisdom and knowledge from the Lord. That's why when you say, yes, when you say, it depends how you wake up, the Lord is trying to prove you to see if is He going to fall into this temptation, or is He going to make a way out? Because the Lord always makes a way out of us. It's when we, but it's when,
So you say, basically, it's saying, if you faint, meaning if you give up, if you fall to temptation in the day of adversity, then your strength is small. You see, because we're gonna go through these things. We're gonna go through all kind of adversity, temptation, trials, tribulation, but we cannot faint. We have to continue and be strong for the Lord. Let's get this precept. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10 and verse 13. There had no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above, that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it.
so the Lord,
Yeah. So you understand what's going on there, King? So the Lord said there is no temptation taking us that is not common to man. You know, we all go through with problems at home. We all go through the problems at work. You know, we face the same problems. So there is no temptation that is taking any one of us that is not common to all man. You see? But the Lord always make a way for us to escape this temptation.
Already, hold
See?
on.
A lot of our people, they will see the way to escape and they say, oh hold on, let me get this first. Let me take another drink first. You see what I'm saying? Go on.
so we can't fall into temptation. We have to When the Lord gives us a way to escape, we have to take that escape with two hands.